Folks, do we have a treat for you? We're going to be talking about Lamarckism. Totally new to me, and it's a good article, so that's always nice. Lamarckism, also known as Lamarckian inheritance or neo-Lamarckism, is the notion that an organism can pass on its offspring physical characteristics that the parent organism acquired through use of or disuse during its lifetime. I didn't understand this. I'm going to do it one more time. Lamarckism, also known as Lamarckian inheritance or neo-Lamarckism, okay? The notion that an organism can pass on to its offspring physical characteristics that the parent organism acquired through use or disuse during its lifetime. So, okay, through use or disuse. So if it uses, acquired through, so physical characteristics that a parent organism acquired through use or disuse during its lifetime. All right. It is also called the inheritance of acquired characteristics, or more often, soft inheritance. The idea is named after the French zoologist Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Wow, so that's, he lived during the time of the Napoleonic Wars, through the time of, what else happened then? Napoleonic Wars, French Revolution, and the Revolutionary Wars. So this is, he lived during the, sorry folks, I always test myself when I see these dates. He lived through the, what else is there? What else is there that happened here? Oh yeah, it's the modern era, but it's like the early modern? I'm forgetting. I'm blanking which, because I had a video recently about like, you can split up like the modern era, which starts from 1500 all the way to now, to 2025. And you can split it up into like useful bits. So there's like the early modern era. And the early modern period I think is like, I guess 1500 to 1800. So this guy lived right at the end of the modern era, I guess. Sort of like the first years of his life were in the kind of early modern, and then his latter life, I guess, was in that next phase of the modern era. Anyways, I'm digressing. The idea is named after French zoologist, this guy who incorporated the classical era theory of soft inheritance into his theory of evolution as a supplement to his concept of orthogenesis, a drive towards complexity. So orthogenesis, also known as orthogenic evolution, progressive evolution, evolutionary progress, progressionism. Organisms have an innate tendency to evolve in a definite direction toward some goal. Introductory textbooks contrast Lamarckism with Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection. However, Darwin's books on the origin of the species. Sorry, I blanked out. I was reading, but I blanked out. Introductory textbooks. Okay, so they contrast Lamarckism with Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection. However, Darwin's book on the origin of species gave credence to the idea of heritable effects of use and disuse, as Lamarck had done in his own concept of pangenesis. Similarly, implied soft inheritance. So pangenesis is an idea by Charles Darwin. I'm not going to click in because I just don't want to spread myself too thin. Many researchers from the 1860s onwards attempted to find evidence of Lamarckism inheritance, but these have all been explained away, either by other mechanisms such as genetic contamination or as fraud. August Weismann's experiment. August Weismann, so 19th century guy, the biologist. considered definitive in its time is his experiment, considered definitive at the time, is now considered to have failed to prove Lamarckism. So I guess he did some sort of experiment, as it did not address use or disuse. Later Mendelian genetics supplanted the notion of inheritance of acquired traits, eventually leading to the development of the modern synthesis and the general abandonment of Lamarckism in biology. Despite this, interest in Lamarckism still continued. Okay, now 21st century, that's our century. Experimental results in the fields of epigenetics, genetics, and somatic hypermutation demonstrated the possibility of transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, that's a mouthful, of traits acquired by the previous generation. These proved a limited validity of Lamarckism. Insane. So it was something that was considered kind of fraud or bad science or just non-proven, and now we have some sort of validity, I guess. The inheritance of the hologenome, consisting of the genomes of all of an organism's symbolic microbes as well as its own genome, is also somewhat Lamarckian in effect, though entirely Darwinian in its mechanisms. Okay, let's see what this says. Lamarck argued that, seeing this circle, a blacksmith gets strong muscles from his work, and his sons inherit those strong muscles. Interesting. So the using of the muscles by the father will be inherited by his offspring. Interesting. That's the guy. Okay, so this is, anyways, I'm not really gonna dig in further, but I think I get it. I just don't. Okay, let me just try to remember. Darwinism says that traits evolve by natural selection. So here in this situation with the blacksmith lived, okay? He lived, he didn't die. So that means he can create offspring. And if he created offspring, his kids are also alive, and they get some of his traits. They looked like him. They have the same color hair, eyes, build, so on. And so this guy's going further. He's saying this guy was, not only did he live, had eyes, hair color, all these characteristics and so on, he also used his muscles. So this is the use and disuse things. He used them, and then that's somehow, by some mechanism, that maybe it's these big words here: epigenetics, genetics, somatic hypermutation, or transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. All of these whatever mechanisms make it so that because he used those muscles and he developed and had hypertrophy in his forearms and deltoids and biceps, because of the use, that goes on to his son. I'm not going to get into these, but maybe he's explain it. Interesting. So it's like not only do kind of like there's more detail in terms of, like, there's a lot of detail, it seems, with the inheritance. It's not like it really has some tie into use or disuse. Yeah, sorry folks. Maybe I'll get into these in the future. I just have other things to do right now. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed.